Hey everybody, Jake here for American Muscle, and in this video we're taking a look at the Koni Sport Adjustable Shock and Strut Kit fitting 2015 and newer Mustang GTs, excluding GT350 and GT500 models, as well as any originally equipped with the MagneRide suspension. Now when it comes to shocks, the folks at Koni do not mess around. These right here are the ultimate do-it-all shock absorbers. They ride well out on the street, they're going to help you carve any corner you might encounter on a track or a twisty road, and they can handle everything in between that. They're street smart, they're track developed, and they're adjustable, meaning that they will serve your Mustang well on any kind of pavement. Koni Sports have long been an enthusiast favorite, and for good reason. They're well designed, they're easy to use, and they can make a big improvement to your car's handling capabilities, be it out on the street or on the track. And if you daily your Mustang, but you occasionally hit the track or the twisties, and you want the performance to do all of that well, these are exactly the shocks you're going to want to buy. Now, Koni has refined the design for years, but the Sports are the gold standard for multi-use vehicles. And there's a number of reasons for this, but perhaps the biggest is the fact that they feature adjustable damping. Now, with just a quick twist right up here, these can go from soft to firm, making them easy to adjust and adapt to whatever you're doing. If you're taking your Mustang to work on pothole-covered streets for the week, no problem. Just turn them down. If you pull it to a twisty road or go to the track, just a quick turn of the knob here is going to firm them up for even better handling. And even in their softest setting, these are going to improve your car's handling. They feature a twin tube design for better control and improved damping over stock as well. Keeping the oil and gas separated, as is the case in a twin tube, helps avoid cavitation or aeration, so your damping and rebound performance stays consistent. You don't get any weird bubbles or anything in there, and these aren't going to behave funny. The Koni Sports are also the ideal choice for a car with a set of lowering springs, as they're designed to work with either your stock springs or with lowering springs. So even if you've already lowered your car, these are going to make a significant improvement in the ride and handling. And of course, it is worth noting that this is a kit, so you're going to get 2 struts for the front, 2 shocks for the rear, giving you everything you need to replace your stock shocks. Now, like you'd expect from a suspension giant like Koni, these are a quality setup, featuring all new lower bushings, chromed hardened piston rods that are really quite thick, and large diameter shock bodies both front and rear. These are designed to withstand the test of time. Plus, they come finished in their signature yellow color for a nice little pop in the wheel well and some additional protection against rust and corrosion. Pricing comes in at about $900 for the full set of 4. And for a set of adjustable dampers like these, I'd say that's a pretty darn good price point. Now, suspension is one of the places on my own vehicles where I believe it's worth spending the money to get the good stuff. And having had a set of Konis previously, I can tell you from experience that they are well worth the cost of entry. Installation is going to get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 3 hours to complete. Now, these are going to require you to use a spring compressor tool, as up front you're going to either need to reuse your stock springs and top hats, or even if you're swapping to lowering springs at the same time, you're still going to need that compressor to get the front assemblies together and bolted up. But there is no modifications required to get these fitted, so these will just bolt right onto your car otherwise. Not much more I can say about it here, so with that, let's head out to the shop and we'll walk you through the process.
Tools required for this install include a couple different size impact guns, a hammer, flathead screwdriver, 18mm ratcheting wrench, a marker, 11 and 17mm wrenches, a drill, vice grips, 15mm swivel socket, a swivel adapter, an extension, 10, 15, 18, 19, and 24mm sockets, 13 30-seconds and 15 30-seconds drill bits, 13 16ths and 7/8 pass-through sockets, a pass-through ratchet, a pry bar, as well as pole jacks or jack stands, and a spring compressor. What's up, guys? Today we're installing some suspension on our Mustang, so let's get started. So starting with the front, we're gonna remove our sway bar end link from the bracket on our strut. Now right behind this bracket, there's a nut that you can get a 17mm wrench on to hold, while you get an 18mm socket on the nut on the front, and pull that off. And then you can pull down on your sway bar and pop your end link out. And I'm just gonna throw the nut back on there for now. Next, we can grab a clip remover tool to pop these 2 clips off. Next, we're gonna have to remove our brake caliper to get to the two nuts on our strut. So we'll take a 15mm socket to remove our two bolts. Now we can slide our caliper off. I've got a caliper hook up here that we can hook our caliper to keep it up and out of the way. And now with our caliper removed, we can just pop our rotor off to give us a little extra space. Next, we can take a 24mm socket and remove these two nuts. Now we're gonna hold the other side with a 21mm wrench while we do this. And now with our nuts removed, we can take a hammer and smack these bolts to knock them out of place. I'm gonna start with the bottom one here. Now I'm gonna take an extension on the other side to tap these bolts the rest of the way through. Next, we can go in the engine bay and take a 15mm socket to remove our three upper strut nuts. Now you're gonna wanna have one hand underneath supporting the weight of the strut as you remove these. And now with one nut left, I've got one hand supporting the weight of the strut while we take this last nut off. And then we can slide our strut out. So now with our strut removed, we're gonna wanna take a marker and make a mark on the top hat of which side faces outward. So right here, lined up with the front, we have the stud. So I'm just gonna make a line here. And that way we know which way it faces out. So now we've got our factory strut over at the spring compressor. We're gonna compress our spring to remove our top hat. That way we can get our new spring in. Now I've got a vice grip here holding the spring against our mounting arm, so that way it doesn't spin while we have it under load. So now with everything lined up, we can go ahead and compress the spring. So now once we have our spring compressed, we can pop this cap off of our stud. And then you're gonna want a 13/16 pass-through socket. We'll get that onto the nut. And then you'll get a 10mm socket to hold the stud, and we can start loosening this up. Now once you've got that loosened up, you're gonna grab a hand to hold the strut and finish working that nut off. So now with our strut removed from our spring, we're gonna pop off our rubber boot, our bump stop, and we're also gonna pop off this rubber isolator at the bottom for our spring. And then we'll grab our new strut. We have our two holes for the two little pins in our isolator. So we'll pop those into place. And then we can grab our bump stop. The flat side is going up. And then we'll put our boot on. And then we can get this reinstalled with our spring. So now we'll just slide this in from the bottom. And then we can install our lock washer and our nut. Now we can take a 7/8 pass-through socket for our nut and an 11mm wrench on the head here and tighten this down. So now we're ready to install our new strut. We're gonna get our studs up through the upper mount and then get our nuts on top. Now we can reconnect our strut to our knuckle, slide our bolts through. We'll give it a couple taps to get these splines started in the hole, and then we can get our nuts on the other side and tighten them down. Now we'll take our hammer and give it a few taps. And then we'll thread our nuts on. And we'll grab our 24mm socket to tighten these down and pull our bolts through. Now we can come back up top and take a 15mm socket to tighten down our nuts. And now while we're up here, we can put on our knob to adjust our dampening. We have a little slot that's going to line up with this guy right here. And then you can twist to the right or left to make it softer or stiffer. Now this isn't going to just stay on here. Koni recommends that you keep it in your glove box, but we'll leave it on here just so you can see how it looks. Next we can reinstall our sway bar end link. Thread on our nut. And then we'll grab our 18mm socket for the nut and a 17mm wrench on the nut on the other side and tighten that down. Next we can reinstall our brake rotor. I'm just going to thread a lug nut on here to hold it into place. Now we can reinstall our caliper. So we'll pull it off our hook. Slide it over our rotor, and then we can reinstall our 2 bolts. And then with those in place, we'll take our 15mm swivel socket to tighten these down. Now lastly, we can reclip our 2 clips into the strut. And then you can repeat that whole process on the other side. Now moving on to the rear, we're going to start with our upper shock mount. We have 2 18mm bolts, so we'll grab an 18mm socket to pull out. Next we can come to the bottom of our lower control arm to remove these 2 15mm bolts holding our shock in. So I'll take a 15mm socket, I'm going to pull this first one out, and I'm going to take a hand to grab onto the shock before I pull the second out. And then we can fully remove our shock. So now with our rear shock removed, we can disassemble it to transfer everything over to our new shock that we need. So now we can take a flathead screwdriver to get under this lip and pop our cap off. And that'll give us access to this 15mm nut. So we'll take a 15mm socket, pop that out. We can pop that off, as well as our bump stop and dust cover. And now as it sits, our new mount won't fit over the top of our new shock. So we're gonna have to drill this out to 15-30 seconds. I've got a 13-30 seconds and a 15-30 seconds drill bit. I'm gonna open it up a little bit before going in with the final bit. So we'll get this in the vise and drill that out. So now I've got our mount in the vise. We're gonna start out with our 13-30 seconds drill bit to open it up a little, and then go back with our 15-30 seconds. And now we'll just do that same thing with our other mount and get this installed on our new shock. So now we're ready to assemble this new shock. First thing we're gonna do is get our plastic ring, put that to the bottom, and then we'll grab our bump stop and dust cover. And slide that on. Now we can slide our new upper mount on. We're gonna slide the spacer on next. And now we have 2 jam nuts. So I'm gonna thread the first one on and take a 19mm socket to tighten it down. And then we'll put our second one on and tighten that one down. Now we'll just pop our cover back on top. And then you can do that same thing for your other shock, and we'll get these back on the Mustang. So now we can slide our new shock into place. And I'm gonna thread in these bottom 2 bolts first. And then we can get our shock into place. Now I've got a pole jack underneath the suspension to raise it up so that we can line up our top 2 bolts. And then we can grab our 18mm socket to tighten down our upper mount. And now we'll grab a 15mm socket for our bottom 2 bolts. And then you can repeat that process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Koni Sport Adjustable Shock and Strut Kit for your 2015 and newer Mustang, excluding GT350 and GT500. Thank you for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.